what's on your mind. You can talk it out. You got the time. You thought about it. Let's talk about it. No doubt about it. I got you. ValTrenda all day.
Welcome everyone to the ValTrenda Show. It's your headquarters for melanated mental health. I have got to say thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for continuing to watch. Thank you for all the shares. Thank you for the emails. Thank you for the love. Man, you guys know how to make a girl feel loved. You know what I'm saying? So thank you so much. I could not do this without any of you. So let's get right into it. In episode 2, our last episode. Now, if you didn't watch, you want to go back and watch it, okay? Because today we're going to continue our discussion about depression. Last week we talked about depression. We talked about the weight of it and the weight that it has on our Black and Brown community. So today we're continuing to talk about that. Now I know you want to say, I know you're probably saying right now, I don't want to hear about this sad stuff. Here they go talking about it again and all of that. But the truth is, this is something that each of us has to deal with on a day-to-day basis. It's just what it is, right? It's such a huge topic that we had to break the show into 2. Now, depression. It may seem taboo to you, or maybe you feel uncomfortable talking about mental health. But have you ever even asked yourself, why? Why do I feel uncomfortable? Why am I feeling all mushy or, into fits? That's a good one. Why do I feel defensive? Could it be that this is brand new to you? Or could you actually be dealing with this yourself? Could you actually be dealing with depression yourself? And the discussion of it is bringing up some things inside of you. So let me remind you, mental health, it's not scary. It's not the monster in the closet. It's not the big bad wolf. It's not scary. It's necessary. And we need to talk about it so that it's not so scary. The reason why we're discussing it is because it's being hidden, as I said before in episode 2. The things we hide, it goes in the dark, right? So that we don't hide it so much, how about we talk about it? Do you know that depression is seen more in our military service men and women more than civilians? About 14% of our service men and women experience depression, especially after deployment. And the truth is that number can really be higher. It could be higher. It probably is higher. Can you guess why? I'll give you a second. That's right. It's because they don't seek assistance for many reasons. So that number is really higher. We just don't know because they won't even come and talk to anyone about it. So we can't really accurately record that number. So allow me to remind you what depression is and some of its symptoms. What are the main causes of depression? Abuse, physical, sexual, emotional abuse, all that can make you more vulnerable to depression later in life or even currently. Age. Sometimes people who are elderly, they're at higher risk of depression. So check on your grandparents. Certain medications, check for those symptoms. Conflict at our jobs, in our homes, all of those things are reasons for depression. And of course, death or a loss of a person, and sometimes genes. So I'm going to give you a second to digest that. We're going to take a quick break. And also, this is the perfect time to remind your friends and family. Send them a quick text message, girl, you know you missing the ValTrenda Show. Quick text message, and then bring all your family and friends in. We will be right back. Welcome back to the ValTrenda Show. Now, of course, this is your headquarters for melanated mental health. So I want you to remind your friends and family that they need to be joining in on this conversation. And if you are just now joining us, perhaps one of your family friends said, hey girl, you're missing the show. This is the perfect time to follow us on all your social media. Now, we're continuing our conversation on depression. We're continuing talking to author and certified counselor, Faith Dickens. She's also the CEO of Live Again Counseling Services. Now, I don't know Faith personally. I don't know her personally. I've gotten to know her over this time, but this is how I met her. So a couple of my friends knew I was dealing with the passing of my godmother, and they introduced me to her and said, hey, you may want to go to this group counseling session for grief. They sent me her information and I said, you know what? I'm going to join it, right? Oftentimes as counselors, not often, all the time, we need counseling too. So I joined her session and I got the help that I needed because I need to be in the best position to be able to help others. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's join in on the conversation with my interview with Faith Dickens, author and the CEO of Live Again Counseling Services.
A huge part of ministry for me is this counseling work.
Yeah.
So there's a grace on me to be patient with people until they get it. Like, I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going anywhere. And you can trust me. That's the next thing. You can trust me. And that's presented, like I said, we do so much through social media, by how I present myself on social media, the types of posts that I post, all of that is, because people are watching you. Just because they don't comment, like, tag, and share, doesn't mean that they're not watching you. Most clients that I've had from social media never liked one thing that I did. They went down the list, went down my timeline, and saw how I carry myself and saw what I'm about. And that's what made them reach out to me.
You're right. You are absolutely right. Absolutely right. Tell me, what are the benefits, for someone who's watching right now, who says, I hear all y'all saying this. Okay, Faith and ValTrenda, we get it. Okay, we get all that, yeah, I'm hurting, but whatever. What could you say to that person who's still fighting to come to counseling, what could you possibly say to that person who may be watching right now? And even if they didn't come to you, if they didn't come to me, but they went to someone to get help, what would you say to that person right now?
So I often tell people that God wants you healed. Mm-hmm. People benefit off your healing. People need you healed, but you benefit most off your healing. So when you're not healed, other people become collateral damage for you, because hurt people hurt people.
Right.
So your spouse, your children, your family members, your colleagues, your employees, employers, whoever, people that you're connected to that are in your immediate circle are going to suffer because you choose to keep burying this pain, right? Secondly, you benefit off of it. Don't you know when you walk through something and you overcome whatever the type of grief is, whatever the trauma is, whatever the disappointment is that you've had to walk through in life, you benefit off of it, because there is nothing that you should ever go through in life that you don't gain some type of wisdom and insight from to improve your life and to make others better on the journey. And so by that, I mean, there are going to be opportunities that come as a result, because people sit back and watch how you go through stuff. I've had people to say to me, Faith, I didn't say anything then, but I watched you walk through this, and I couldn't believe that you didn't do this, and you should have. When I would have reacted this way, you were poised, and you know what I mean. So people are watching you. It opens doors of opportunity. Not you don't have to become a grief counselor, but there are other doors from whatever you've overcome that people need to hear your testimony and hear your story of how you were able to walk through it with the counseling and with the therapy. In addition to that, I always tell people you can monetize off of your pain.
Mhm.
I don't have it on me. Yes,
Your
I do.
book.
Yeah, I wrote my first book, and I'm in the middle of writing another one. Live Again, right? A guide to processing the pain, hurts, and disappointments of life. After my parents died, I wrote a book. And so opportunities come. I became a counselor. It opened doors in ministry. It opened doors on a natural stance because this subject about mental health, as you know, ValTrenda, it is spreading abroad now. And so at the end of the day, though, watch how God is so strategic. As I'm going through this pain, as my heart is broken, I don't understand. I also went through betrayal. I also went through character assassination. This is all around the time my parents died.
Wow.
I'm talking about the level of warfare and the level of hurt. It was almost as if I did not want to wake up.
Wow.
I wasn't suicidal, but I was asking God to take me in my sleep because the pain was so intense. So I'm very committed to this work because I understand what God did for me. I understand that, yes, you may want to close the blinds and put the cover over your head, but I say to you today, get up and live. Get up and get the help that you need. There are resources out there. If you don't have insurance or if you don't want to pay private pay, there are resources. Get on the list and communities that offer counseling. I offer a number of things that are free. I mean, we've made this thing has become so easy for you to access. But I tell people all the time, hungry people eat. If you really want to be healed, if you really want to be made whole, you will no longer make excuses
honey.
as to why you can't walk in your healing. There's no excuse.
Yes, your preacher voice came on. I heard it. I heard it. I heard it. I heard it. And I felt it. So yes, thank you so much, Faith. I am so grateful, one, to be able to have the opportunity to know you, two, for you to be able to spend time with me educating everybody about mental health and the process of grief. What can someone look forward to after going to counseling when they are grieving? What can they look forward to?
You can look forward to being mentally sane.
Right.
Because the more you put on masks to come across as if you got it all together, listen, y'all, it's a lot of work putting on those costumes. Y'all got to be tired. You got to be tired. I'm about to give out Academy Awards. I mean, it's ridiculous. Get yourself together. After you get healed, your perspective in life changes. Yeah. Your priorities will shift. You'll see God in an entirely different manner. You'll see family and what matters to you most in an entirely different manner. It opens your eyes to things that you didn't see before. Absolutely. If you thought, well, I'm mature, I'm pretty solid, I'm pretty sound. After you experience certain loss and after you go through certain things in life and you walk through the process of getting the counseling, so that you can get healed, so that you can get poured into, so that you can get replenished. I promise you, it changes and shifts your life forever. And one of the things that I learned to do last year, our family went through a crisis, okay? And I was the main lead in helping with this crisis. Okay, I dedicated most of my life, most of my practice, everything that I did to this situation for a family member. Didn't get much thanks or appreciation about it. But this year I made a deliberate decision that faith gonna live again. How about that?
That's right.
And so I've had to learn how to decompartmentalize caring about people, being in the ministry, but also caring enough about me that if I don't take care of myself, if I don't put myself first in certain instances, then it won't be no faith to do what she do.
You right. You are so right. You are so right. You hit the nail on the head with that one, Faith. So listen, It's your turn, it's my turn, and it's our turn as a
It's our turn.
community to
Yeah.
live again, and go through
Yes.
grief. Grief is a process. It
It
is a
is.
process. It's not something somebody gonna wave a wand at you and be like, ting,
Mm-mm.
now you're all of a sudden you're here. It doesn't work that way,
Mm-mm.
so we encourage you all to get the help that you need, just like Faith said. Faith, thank you so much again for coming on
Thank
the
you for having
ValTrenda
me.
Show. I appreciate you. We have all your information on the screen, but tell us again where we can find you on your social media and where we can find your book.
So my book is on Amazon. If you just type in Faith Dickens Live Again. On my social media handle for Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook is at Live Again CC. My personal page is Faith Dickens on Facebook. My website is www.liveagaincs.com. So the handle is at Live Again CC, but the actual website is www.liveagaincs.com. Be on the lookout. We're actually revamping the brand. We're going to be bringing and offering some new services and some new things that God has opened up for me. And so, and there's also going to be opportunity because it's really more of a ministry from the counseling aspect of it. That there's just some things that we're working on. So it's going to benefit my future and my current clients. So just be on the lookout and be patient with us. Follow us. When you go on social media, shout us out, say hello. And I'm here. We offer 15-minute consultations that are free. If you just want to talk to get some direction on what you need, we're open for that. But thank you, ValTrenda, for this opportunity to share on your show. I'm so excited about what God is doing in your life and doors He's opening for you as well.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And listen, this is, again, everybody, this is the mental health moment on the ValTrenda Show. This is the opportunity where we have to educate you, to show someone this show, tell somebody about it. You have somebody who's grieving in your family, or perhaps you reach out to get the help you need. All of our information is on the screen. Make sure you take care of you. Thanks again, Faith.
Thank you for having me.
Isn't that information helpful? I know it was, because it was for me. So I know it has to be for you. Faith's information is on our screen. I highly encourage you all, if you're dealing with grief, or if you know someone who's dealing with grief, reach out to her. Now, don't go far. We have much more for you right here on the ValTrenda Show. Now, here's the authenticity of some real life courageous women. If you haven't seen this part of the show, this is where you get to experience what a real group therapy session looks like. Now, remember, they're real clients. They have real life issues, and baby, they're bringing it to you. Okay. And they have some real feelings. So welcome back in the recovery room. Why can you forgive everybody else and they're the ones that actually do you wrong versus you forgiving yourself? What's so hard about you forgiving some of the mistakes that you've made?
Not sure. Working on that. I think I can honestly say, I think it's because with myself, I feel like I'm supposed to know better. I'm supposed to know. Other people, it's okay if they don't know, but it's not okay if I don't know. And that's something that I've had to work through myself, to know that, well, you only know as much as you know at this particular place you are in life. And if you don't know, that's okay. It doesn't mean you have to beat yourself up or stay in a place of, stagnation because you didn't know something. You find the lesson in it, find the positive in it, and you use that to propel yourself forward. But it took some time to get to that place.
Yeah.
And even with our kids, like I can say honestly, with my kids, like I do childcare, and it's like if another child would do something, I'm like, oh wow, I don't know what they're being taught. But if my child do something, I'm harder on them because I'm like, oh, well, you should know. But in the same aspect, they still all just children.
Okay, right.
So I just think that this is how we process stuff sometimes.
Yeah. So what is it in you that makes it harder, makes you be harder on yourself when you say, well, this is something that I should have known. Okay, but what if you didn't know it? Are you still hard on yourself then?
No, I think sometimes as she was speaking, I have a hard time forgiving myself for not letting go of something that I knew I should have let go of, but I'm trying to hold on. I'm trying to find that I know it could be better, but I know I should let it go. So I think I just have a hard time forgiving myself for wasting time with anything, whether it be a job, a relationship, a friendship, anything of that nature, that I just want to see the greatness in it.
Yeah.
But I know it was a season.
So when things are, and this is for everybody, because let me see by the show of hands, who all have a hard time forgiving themselves for anything? Okay, so when you are in the place of, oh my God, I can't believe I did that, and you can't seem to get over it. Why? I want to know why it's easier for you to forgive other people. What if they didn't know better either? You didn't know better, they didn't know better. So why do they get more mercy from you than you get more mercy from you?
Now that you said that, I can probably do it better.
Because you're essentially giving them something that you should be giving yourself.
Right.
And so you give them something first, and they're not you. You are you. You are you. Nobody gonna love you more than you love you. And at least you shouldn't expect other people to love you more than you love you. Right? So if people have a hard time forgiving you and you trying to figure out why, how could you even be upset with them when you have a hard time forgiving yourself?
Makes sense.
And then we also have to remember that things that happened 5 minutes ago, we can't do anything to change it. We can't do anything to change it. The only thing we could do is change our behavior now to correct the future, right? To prevent what happened in the past from happening in the future. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
But you know what, Val? I think that's one of the things, just like you said, things that took place in the past. Sometimes when it becomes a cycle, when it becomes repetitive, and it's like, what happened? What was, why does this keep happening? Or why is it that, you know, we're allowing this people, even if it's a different individual, whether it's family, friends, um, allowing this here situation to keep passing, even though sometimes it's out of our control. But it's, why is this a repetitive cycle? Why does this keep happening?
Right.
What could I have done to change it? Knowing how to forgive yourself, that's the main thing. I can, and then, in the prayer, in my prayer, I'm always saying, you know, I know, remember when I did, prayed and I was crying out to God and I say, Lord, help me to forgive me. And I broke like a little baby and I don't know what it was, but it was like a cleansing, but I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know the transformation that was being taken place because we don't know how. How do you forgive yourself? What steps do you take to forgive yourself? Yes, being, like you say, you want to be validated, you want to feel a part, you don't want to always feel like a doormat, you don't want to always, feel as though, why me? So, learning those things, like you say, learning how to love yourself before others can love you. And sometimes we expect ourselves in other people and we beat ourselves up for that.
Right. So
That's the main thing that, huh?
go ahead.
So that's the main thing that I had to learn.
Yeah.
Sean, stop expecting you from others because they're not you.
That's
Right.
So that was my biggest thing, that and I had to come to realization of that. That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
And that wasn't fair. It wasn't fair to someone else and it wasn't fair to myself. Because like you say, you hold on to that anger and or within yourself, but you're forgiving them, and it's like, how is that? That's not how it should be.
Right.
I should be forgiving me, but the big question is, how do I forgive me?
Good. Good. And we'll talk about that once we get in. So that's what's a part of forgiveness in chapter 1, right? In chapter 1, we talk about forgiveness. So in that section, pardon me, the first sentence says, just like trust, forgiveness is a choice. So that's the first thing. You have to choose to forgive. If you're going to choose to forgive someone else, you could choose to forgive yourself, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Serena, what part of this first chapter did you grasp, like in the self-detox part?
I think the biggest thing for me in chapter 1 was just being able to kind of sort through what exactly do I need to, or who exactly do I need to detox myself from? Who do I have interactions with that I don't feel like it brings good to me, but I still, for whatever reason, still choose to engage with these different people. It was the time of just a lot of self-reflection for me. And as I went through it, I saw a lot of things that I was doing, like the sister said earlier about the cycle. Sometimes we do things systematically. We don't even think about why we're doing it. We just do it because it's just second nature.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just been doing a lot of reflecting on, okay, what relationships do I really not want to have so that I can detox and make sure that my mental status is where it needs to be so that I can fulfill my purpose.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I love to hear that. Anybody else have anything to say about chapter 1, the self-detoxing, Tarifa, about self-detox before we move on to the topic at hand?
I guess I know I definitely have to learn to forgive. Like when you ask everyone to raise their hand, I don't have a problem with forgiving myself. I actually forgive myself a little bit too much and I say that because me forgiving myself will allow me to not reach certain goals. So for example, like weight loss, I'll be like, all right, child, I'll be all right. It's a mistake. I done fell off. I'll forgive myself. I won't beat myself up at all. I'll be like, it's okay. You can try it again the next day.
Yeah.
But forgiving other people is real hard for me. I hold grudges like.
Is it? So it's interesting how you and Stacy are the complete opposite when it comes down to forgiving. Stacy just gonna forgive everybody, and she gonna hold herself in captivity. And then you, Tarifa, you're going to forgive yourself all day. Like, honey, I'm fine, ain't nothing wrong. And then other people, you're gonna hold them in captivity.
Absolutely.
That is interesting. That is.
I feel the same way like the other lady. I'm sorry, I didn't catch her name or any of you guys' name, but I do see it at the bottom, so that's cool.
So who were you talking about?
Is it Mashandria?
Yes, Mashandria. Yes.
Okay. I like your name, by the way. So I agree with her. Because I heard you guys the entire time, and I'm the same way. I forgive others. I'm quick to forgive other people, but for me, I do have a hard time forgiving myself. One, I'm a perfectionist, so like if I don't know anything, I understand I'm not 100%. I'm not God, of course I don't know, but or I'm not perfect, but I do try to learn from my mistakes. But it's still hard because besides how I feel, I kind of take other people's, feelings as well. Like I'm a huge empath. So if sometimes, like before, if someone didn't forgive me, then I would have a hard time, forgiving myself, especially if I know that I did everything that I could have done on my end. Sometimes I question myself, like, well, why would somebody question my character? And I actually just dealt with this at work. Like my boss, she doesn't like me. She's been trying to get me fired, but it's like because I have God in my life, I pray before I go into meetings with her. I make sure like I'm treating her as if I would treat myself. It's like for some odd reason, it's like she still is like upset or she still has a problem. So for me, it's in those situations, I don't like confrontation. I know how to deal with the situation, but it just may not be the way that I know I'm gonna have to handle it professionally.
Right.
And that's the only thing that frustrates me because I'm like, adults are gonna be adults regardless. You can't change how they feel, how they're gonna react, or none of that.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Right? Wow. By now, you can tell that this was not a dramatization, right? You can see their real life progression going on right in front of your eyes. So take a breather. We will return with more of the ValTrenda Show.
Hey y'all, it's Jermaine J. Rock Jones Mofus, entertainer, songwriter, father of two. You're watching The Man Moment on the ValTrenda Show.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the ValTrenda Show. Now we've come to the time where we get to talk to our melanated kings. Now, if you're a melanated king and you want to get some things off your kingly chest, email me so we can go live on my Facebook and we can talk about it. It's just a conversation. No need to be scary. All right. Last week on Man Moment, we were overtaken by the words of J. Rock Jones that we decided to bring more of this conversation back to you. Check this out.
I personally deal with it by talking about it, and I got that from my mother. My mother is an open book, good, bad, ugly, everything. She's an open book, and she lives her truth. The lady who raised me and my older brother, because we both are adopted, she called me everything but a child of God my entire life, and I get my my passion and my energy and my liking, my street smarts really from my mother. So my wittiness came at a young age, so it made me rebel against things that I know wasn't the right way for a kid to live, to the point where I took it to school. Got in a lot of trouble in school, but I was always had potential, so they would never actually suspend me. They would, they would do that type of thing until that one time I got into that real bad scenario, and I went home and I got a beating, and I still went to school, and it was a time where I got suspended. I was so scared to go home that I stayed at school and stayed up on a portable the entire day because I didn't want to actually. It was it's. I got a story, man. Yeah, I got a story, man. Yeah, it was bad, man. It was really bad. Stayed on the roof, because she worked third shift, so she would kick me out and tell me, "Hey, you better not be here when I get back 4 o'clock in the morning." So my brother would give me something to eat, and I would stay outside. This was on my way to Blue Ridge. Yeah, I got a story, man. I got a really, excuse my French, fucked up upbringing, man.
That's crazy. We've known each other for over 20 years, and I've never known that. I've never known that.
I don't. Well, I talk about it. And I'm a true definition of leading by example.
Yeah.
And those who like they seen it, man. It's bad, man. I'm talking about the slaps in the face, the you won't be nothing, and it's just bad, man. Just really bad. And only thing that really helped me to get out of it was I never forget it. I was in Rose Park. I was sitting on the corner, and the guy who I really looked up to, he was a dope dealer. He walked up to me, and I had a notepad. I would all write over him a notepad. I would sit on this little brick in the dirt, and I would just write, not knowing that I'm writing, right? Just writing, right? It was my poetry at the time. And he walked up to me and said, Jet, never stop writing. Never stop writing. And he walked away. And like a week later, he died. He got
No.
These are things. These things stay with me forever. I never forget that. So I never start writing. I just write.
Crazy.
I just write.
That's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
So how okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so how do you because obviously you have childhood trauma, right? You have trauma, you have traumatic experiences, multiple, experiences that happened to you when you were a child. How do you obviously you get to the point where you're like, okay, I think I'm kind of gifted. So now you're kind of expressing yourself through your music. Is that how you were coping with it?
That's one way. That's the easy avenue because I don't have to worry about the opinion of others. It was how I really dealt with it. I really looked at the individuals I was hurting as I was hurting them, and I realized it's like a fresh haircut or a smile. It just that these type of things that can change your life, can change the way you flow, that new outfit, that everything fits perfectly in that moment. That's the same way I would treat if I would treat somebody bad. Because I know in that moment in time, I can literally change the way you think. I have an example. I have a story. So in the projects, my homeboy Joe Charlton, great guy.
Oh yeah, I know Joe.
He knew I always ran for church, right? For most of the reasons. So he knew the one thing that would keep my attention was the girls, the ladies, right?
Okay.
He called it, just chill. He called me one day and he says, hey man, we having a harvest fest, right? We having a harvest fest at this church off of 22nd. You should come up here. And I'm like, nah, I ain't coming. I'm out there in the streets at the time. Like, I ain't coming out there, man. He's like, man, come on, man. These chicks up here, these girls up here, man, I'm on the way. I ride my jumper up there. I throw my jumper in the bushes. No joke. I go in there. This is the number one reason right here where I stop, and people are gonna take this from this. I stop picking on people. I stop being the verbal bully. Because I never was a physical guy, so I could hold my own, but I ain't finna go in and start no fights.
Yeah.
I never forget it. We was in this church and everybody was chewing on everybody, right? Now it was time to get in line to eat. And this lady was in front of me. And she wasn't visually up to par, right? And I started picking on this lady, right? And a couple people laughed and a couple people didn't. We was in the zone. This was happening in real time.
Yeah.
Dude, about the same size as JT, 6'6", big boy, tapped me on my shoulder. He said, hey man, I'm gonna spare you. Now when he says this to me, I'm already on the defense. What you mean? He said, no, I'm gonna spare you. God bless you, my brother. I said, what you mean? He said, that's my mama. He says that to me. He said, I'm gonna spare you. He said you didn't understand. You just gotta do better. I took that. And I ran with it.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
I never forget that.
Those experiences like that, do you feel like they helped you, mentally, emotionally process a lot of the stuff you were going through at the time?
Yeah, it did, but it also made me very sad because of the things I went through at the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the things that were unnecessary, the things that we can't repeat, but the things that make you think about the domino effect of things you weren't able to do, or the things, those things that you had every ability and everything was lined up, but somebody chose to make it hard for you.
Yeah.
And you would never get that opportunity again. It's hard, man.
How do you process that? How do you process that now as a parent? Like now you're a parent, you have a kid, you have two, right? You have, unless you got some out there that you don't know about,
It was a wild summer. So what's your question?
Listen. So how do you now process those moments, looking back at your childhood? How do you process those moments now, being that you are a parent, trying to prevent a lot of, maybe the same things that happened to you, to prevent them from happening to her? How do you process that?
Cup half full. That's it.
Yeah.
Cup is half full. And the old cliche, it can always be worse, simply because, you know, there's other cliches like, I don't want my child to go through what I've been through.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, man. Cup half full. You just lead by example. And those moments where you can naturally, it's like being at a call center, somebody call you, you already know what they want before they finish their sentence. It's the same thing in life, when you just know if I continue to do X, Y, and Z, that is, you won't pass go, like 200 pass go. When you get back to A, it's not gonna be the same. You know what I'm saying? I'm such a rapper. But yeah, there you go. It's
now let's talk about relationships. How you personally, how has your childhood trauma affected your relationships? Let's break it down. What type of relationships, right? So how has your childhood trauma affected your romantic relationships as an adult?
Well, okay, there's a few things. So because of me being my mother's child and how much of an open book she has always been, it leads to me naturally being an open book more than I need to. Being wiser than my age. Yeah, and being so forward, so to the point, deal with it, being on the same page. It is what it is, simply because it's so bad because my mama can't tell me what to do, so you can't either.
Oh,
that type of thing.
Yeah.
And it also, it hinders the trust, because you can see where things are on both. Well, I have to give it. I'm gonna give it from both perspectives. See, it hinders the trust in the individual when you catch them in a lie, because you've been lied to your entire life, and you pride yourself on not being a liar. But on the other end, it's so easy to lie, because you don't want to actually feel the way you felt when you got lied to. Right? It's the easiest way to grow with a partner is having those extremely uncomfortable conversations and knowing you feel better afterwards, whether good or bad.
Yeah.
We naturally stay with energies because of not wanting to be hurt and not wanting them to go through hurt, just because you want to continue to feel good and have a good time in the moment, knowing that it's going to be a wall soon. And when you hit that wall, what are you going to do?
Yeah. So what are you going to do? What do, as a Black man, what do you do when you come to those moments? Because of the issues that you've dealt with before, the trust isn't there.
Right. The trust isn't there. As a Black man, from my perspective, right? Because it's kind of hard to be broad when I just know I have my answer for myself, and hopefully somebody takes something from that.
Yeah.
It's if you're not like, okay, so check it out. So sometimes communicating is pointless, right? Sometimes beating a dead horse. Sometimes you have to lead by example, and sometimes you just gotta make love. These are things. I know it's sad. It was like, what just happened? It's true, because this is communication, people. This is communication. Let's talk about it. You know, it's a different kind of conversation. Listen, hear me out. It's a different kind of conversation you are having when you're vulnerable. Yes? This is true.
Yeah, I do.
True.
I do think that it's a different conversation.
These are forms of communication, man.
I'm sorry. That one really blew me. Now, and I'm a host. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can host some stuff.
Sometimes you just gotta get down to it, man. Everybody frustrated.
You just gotta make love. I have got to quote that, Sometimes you just gotta make love. You ain't gotta say nothing. You ain't gotta communicate.
Just reset this thing, man. Just get it on out the way, man. Everybody mad. It's raining outside.
How the conversation go from childhood trauma to I just gotta make love? Okay. Okay, cool. That's how we work through these things. Okay. Now, since you did go there, you know, do you think that those type of habits, Black men, and we're talking about Black men particularly,
right,
only because you're a Black man, right? So you know, those type of habits, do Black men pick these up to deal with their childhood traumas? You know, sex, drinking, and I know you mentioned a little bit of it earlier, right? You know,
right.
drugs, alcohol.
It's all vices because they're forms. All right, so you know, drugs, they cloud the mind, and as far as alcohol, it kind of like puts you, it just doles you out, right? And then you got that moment where you feel, you know, when the endorphins feel high, but then you got that moment where you did too much and now you're on somewhere else. As far as the actual the love making, from a perspective, it's a form of appreciation. So it makes you feel whole. It's that one time you feel appreciated because somebody's doing it with you, even if they're lying to you, you know better, right? But it's just that moment that you feel appreciated, and it's another way of running from what needs to happen. It's just that very uncomfortable communication, because you want to mentally be at a place where you actually can grow as a unit.
Yeah,
you're not doing that.
Absolutely. How many times have you in your own personal life ran away from very uncomfortable situations by, you know, running to sex, alcohol, whatever?
Oh man, lots of times. But I will say I'm doing better when it comes. I'm practicing what I preach, and the reason I do that is because when I told it's gonna come back full circle, because after my father died, I just it's hard, man, because I'm his only child and I had to pull his plug. So and he died of a heart attack. So that's a lot to take in. And this is somebody who I always understood the reason why he wasn't in my life. I got it. And every time I got around him, I understood he was trying. He was literally trying. And so when he, like, this is so crazy. My father passed away. He had a heart attack while being intimate, right? Crazy, right? And I'm sitting at work and I know it's weird. And I get a message, stop it. I get a message from someone who I never knew followed me on social media. Never knew. This person was some kin of me, right? This person reaches out to me and she called me Keith. Keith, you need to go to the hospital. Your daddy's in the hospital. He's not doing good. And in that moment, I knew exactly what was happening. I just felt it, right? I go to the hospital. I walked in, and it was that young lady and another cousin that I never seen ever again. I walked in, and I'm a spitting image of my daddy. So that was weird for them. I walked in, same walk, same everything, right? And it was breaking it down to me, right? Check this out. So they was breaking it down to me of him having a heart attack, and the nurses will come in, 3 days of him being a vegetable. Basically, they're informing me that, hey, we know what are we going to do? Try to get you out of there. And I've seen the movie, so I'm like, I'm here, but the reality of it is like, I'm not here. So I waited till my mother to come fall out of there. She said her final goodbyes, and I stayed another day, and I just kind of looked at him, and I just knew in that moment I needed to do this. I'm strong enough to do it now because she told me that he was clean when he passed away, and I have to back up. So the young lady, I'm talking to her, and we're getting a little clarification of what's going to happen, what the suggestion should be. And she tells me, she said, hey, his girlfriend was there, right? She says, Daryl always spoke highly of you. He always spoke highly of you, and he liked to read books at Curtis Dixon Park in the little white dome, right?
Right.
And she said 2 weeks ago, he was there reading a book, and it was a band playing. He said how much he loved that band. It was Synergy in the Cup. He was playing Rock the Park.
No way.
Broke me down.
Did he know?
He had no idea. He had no idea. I found out that day that my dad played the drums and he was a singer, and that's where I got it from. I found out all these things out. Yeah. So, and I'm dealing with these things, and I'm taking this all in, and I'm reflecting back to when I was younger. I tell my mom, if I ever see my dad, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. So I'm so mad, right? And I'm DJing. I never forget, I'm DJing at the Performing Arts Center, and I see my daddy pushing a cart full of his things down that sidewalk, and I have to go back to the truck to get more things, and he has to walk by me. He has to walk by me. And I said, "What's up, Daryl?" I wouldn't let him walk by me. And Rob, my guy DJ, he said, "Who was that?" I said, "That's my dad." Because the same lady, she says, "Hey, you're Jermaine. He talks about you all the time." He's so embarrassed because this is his life, right? I get the phone number. We tried to exchange numbers, right? I knew he wasn't gonna call me. I knew he wasn't gonna call me, right? In that moment, that was our final goodbye. And that was the final goodbye. So I have to take that with me, right? I have to take that with me, knowing that I could have did more in that moment. And that is one of the hardest things for anyone to go through. And that's one of the hardest things I deal with all the time. But I will say the silver lining is he donated. We chose to donate his organs, and he saved the life the next day, just like a movie.
That's good. That's good.
The very next day, he saved somebody's life. But it's as far as the mental health thing, to carry all those things and to know you gotta, when someone addresses you or addresses a scenario and you have your own reality that you go through, and that's the cup half full moment, right? This is bad. For real, they stepped on your shoe. Oh, you got a quarter tank left. Oh, she broke up with you. Well, what's the reason is? And in your mind, you're like, yeah, but if I hit you with this real, so you just leave by yourself. You step beside yourself. You evaluate the situation, and you just gotta. It'll hit somebody. It hits somebody.
What do you think prevents? And first of all, let me appreciate you and bow down to you for being able to express a lot of that, right? Because I'm sure that maybe at one point you weren't really talking about that, right? You never communicated that to a lot. So what do you think the barrier is when it comes down to relationships and men really expressing themselves to a romantic, to their romantic partner, right? So that has had trauma in their past. What's that barrier that stops them from communicating?
Being talked to, ultimatums, told what to do, those things. And it's unfortunate because at the same time, you don't want your partner to feel like she got to walk on ice.
On eggshells and stuff, right?
Eggshells and all of those stuff. It's that fine line medium, but the best way to get through it, like simplicity. It's like the best R&B song in the world didn't have a whole bunch of metaphors and a whole bunch of words, just a normal conversation. You'll never forget. We can name 5 songs right now that sticks with you forever, and they didn't say much, but they were saying a lot.
Right.
And that's the same approach when it comes down to from my opinion.
You personally.
Me personally, when it comes down to the growth in you and your partner, you don't necessarily have to. If you feel a certain way about something that I am personally doing, the first thing I would suggest you don't do is don't tell me what I should be doing. Don't tell me what I should be doing. Don't tell me what I need to do. No.
So what's the approach then? If I don't tell you tell
me what you like.
Okay.
Tell me what you like. Tell me what you appreciate, right? It's hard because it's naturally, you should, that's the first thing you want to do because you're angry in the moment. It's like, hey love, here you go. Let's use something real simple. The toilet seat. Let's just use the toilet seat because it's easy,
right?
Right, so the toilet seat's up instead of, and you need to keep the toilet seat down, right? Because you pissed off because in that moment the toilet seat's up, right? So here you go. And love, I would have really appreciated if you would remember to put the toilet seat down. Right. And I know, you know what I'm saying? And if he blows up off of that, hey, what's really going on? Because it's not about the toilet seat.
Right.
And now we open this door.
Yeah. So do you think even then at that moment, is that appropriate time to even address, hey, what's really going on with you? But you upset about the toilet seat?
Yeah. And it's always a good time if both of you are comfortable enough to discuss the scenario. If you're not comfortable in discussing the scenario, give the individual that time, we'll address it when it needs to be addressed, but also know as your partner, don't disrespect me until it's
Yeah.
time to address that again.
Welcome back to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health. Now I have to ask you a question, and I want you to be real with me because that's the only way to be. So I want you to be real with me. Have you ever had a time where you felt like your mind was just racing and you had absolutely no control over it, right? You felt like thoughts were just bombarding your brain left and right, second after second. Have you ever wondered, okay, this is happening a lot more than what I'm comfortable with. So what can I do to stop the racing thoughts? Now, my last question is, have you ever considered meditation? Do you know that meditation helps us to control our brain activities? It allows us to have control over the thoughts that go on in our brain instead of those thoughts having control over us. Now you may be wondering, I don't know what to do in no meditation. I don't feel like sitting there looking like, I don't want to do all of that. I don't want to do all of that. But, maybe you don't really know about it, right? But there are guided meditations, and those guided meditations walk you through step by step, and they help you align your chakras. Aligning your chakras also help with controlling your entire body. Oh, you don't know about the chakras? Well, allow me to introduce them to you in my book, 7 Gems to Glowing Up. Now, in this book, we talk about the chakras. I don't go into too much detail, but I will introduce them to you because it's a part of our self-care. Part of who you are, who you're becoming, has a lot to do with how you take care of yourself. So don't forget to grab this so that we can start that journey together. We'll be back with more of the ValTrenda Show. Thank you to everyone who stayed the course. Now listen, I'm not Ellen or Oprah for that matter, but I am ValTrenda, okay? And the fact that you stuck it through with me for the entire show does not go without appreciation. So thank you. Thank you to my sponsors. Thank you to those who email and donate their services. Thank you to my staff, the producing team, and Mocha Media Network. Now we're talking about being happy, because that makes me happy, right? #happy. What makes you happy? Better yet, let's talk about me. What makes me happy? The truth is, I don't need a reason. I don't need an explanation or any type of purpose to be happy. I just am. I can just be happy. I can just be happy. Sometimes we put so much into the what, but the what, like the what makes me happy, the what sometimes means something. And the something is a thing. And that thing could be materialistic or tangible. But what if I'm just happy being me, ValTrenda? This week, just be happy being you. Just be happy doing what you do. Just be happy with who you are becoming. Be happy with the fact that you're not who you used to be, that bitter or mad or sad person all the time, the ones that your friends really didn't want to be around. Just be happy. And for those who can't relate to just waking up in the morning and being happy, Allow this to be an opportunity for you to do some soul searching and search your soul. Search your soul for the good qualities that you have in there about who you are. Are you kind? Are you giving? Are you prompt? Are you loyal? Once you grasp those great qualities about yourself, wake up every morning happy about what you discovered. Until next time, don't let anyone steal your happiness or your joy. Definitely not your money. Be kind to one another. Give yourself grace. And as always, show love.